I'm Aaron from Columbia, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to maintain your matrix handle by using the Matrix Handle maintenance kit. These are the parts included in the kit. You have your pinch brake parts and your head bushings. The tools you'll need for this maintenance kit are a push pin, an Allen key set, a 1/4 inch driver, a 5/16 driver, a flathead screwdriver, a pair of pliers, and a hammer. To start this procedure, we're going to take the handle apart and get down to where we need the parts replaced. To start that, you have your brake lever that you pull to set your brake on your handle. There's a split pin there. We're going to take our push rod and we're going to hammer the split pin through. You don't need to hammer the pin all the way out, just enough to release the brake handle. So you still want the split pin coming out of there, so it makes it easier when you put it back in. So you don't want it to actually come right out of the handle. Then using your 1/4 inch driver, remove the nut at the top of the pinch brake. So you've removed this, set it aside. Now that we've removed the brake lever, there's 2 set screws on the mount that we're going to take off with a 9/64 Allen key. Set these parts aside. Then the part that mounts onto, we should just be able to pull it off. There might be mud in there. You might need to give it a little bit of a tap to get it off, or oil, but you can remove it, set it aside. Then there's the comfort grip. That should just be able to pull off with your hand. And set that aside. The next step is on the head side. We're going to remove the 4 flathead screws that are holding the head in place. Make sure you keep these in a safe spot so you have them when you want to put it back together. Now you can remove the head from the shaft and put it aside. Now that you've removed the head and the base, push down on your release pin and push the octagon piece through and out the top of the handle. Now using the flathead screwdriver, remove the 4 screws holding this head piece on. Now that the 4 screws are off, you should be able to slide this aluminum piece down the octagon. You may want to put the base of the octagon on the edge of a table so you have some leverage, and it'll snap and pop out. To remove this white Delrin housing, once all the screws are out, you simply just pull it out of the octagon. Now we want to remove the stainless steel rod from this pin. In order to do that, you need to grab this with a pair of pliers. It may require a vise, it's quite tight, but I'm going to use a pair of pliers for this video. And you want to hold it and then spin the white Delrin piece. Remove the rod, set it aside. Now we're going to remove the rod spring. Next, we're going to remove the wheel bushing that activates with the brake here. So to do that, you need a screwdriver. There's a little flathead there. Go ahead and unscrew that. Now you can pull this pinch brake out. And inside is the main pinch brake body. That's getting replaced as well. Now we're going to put the new parts back in. In order to do that, here's your pinch brake. We're going to put that inside the white Delrin piece. You want the thin unthreaded part sitting to this side, my right hand side of the housing. Before applying your pull rod, you're going to have to put the pull rod bushing in through the bottom of the hole here. Then you have your E-washer or C-washer that you're going to put on top here. And using the pair of pliers, snap it into place so that it goes on there but doesn't come off. When you do this, you want the bushing going up through the bottom with the diagonal facing in this pattern. Now place the pulley into the slide on the Delrin and push it through the top slot just like that. You'll notice at the bottom of the diagonal slide it lines up with the threaded piece on the pinch brake. Now we're going to reinstall the pinch brake roller, the new one. You're going to line it up with the threads there, drop it in place. Lightly thread it in just to make sure that it's lined up properly, and then tighten it down. You should be able to use that B-roll again for that. Once you have that all in place, take your head handle, slide it through the Delrin piece right underneath where the black rod is sitting through. Just make sure that it goes enough through that it comes out the other side. This is just, all this is for when we put our spring in, it has somewhere to sit onto. We're going to replace the spring and the pull rod at this time, and in order to do so, you have to have the threads on this bushing inside parallel with the actual housing. So you want to be able to see the threads straight on. Okay, now that I know my threads are straight and in place, and I have everything ready to go, I put my spring, rod spring, into this channel. Try to line it up straight with the threads and the opening, the hole opening here. Then with your adjustment rod, there's a half threaded piece and a full threaded piece. You want the half size threaded piece to go back into this Delrin in that top hole there. It'll go through the spring and into that threaded piece that we straightened out. It can be a bit tricky, you might have to play with it a bit. There we go. I'm pulling back on it so I know it's started to thread. Now I can remove this aluminum piece. I'm going to grab my pliers, tighten down on it, and tighten my Delrin piece back on. When you reach the end, make sure you give it a really good tighten, because you don't want this to adjust on you once you put the handle back together. Now that we replaced all the new pinch brake parts, I like to put grease in here so that it doesn't tighten up on you. So this is dry right now. I use a heavy grease. And you want to pack it in there. You don't have to worry about how much you put in. I like to pack the whole area there so that it stays in there throughout the use of this brake. Now we're going to reinsert the rod and the Delrin housing into the octagon. In order to do this, you have your extension holes. You want them to be facing up. You want the stainless steel rod and the black pull rod towards you. That's how you line it up properly. So just make sure that this black piece is on the side that you're on, not on the opposite side. Otherwise it won't line up properly. Now we're going to put the housing cover back on. This has 2 holes and a tab opening here. The tab opening lines up with the top. The actual tab is right here on the Delrin part. So slide it on, over top. And right over top of that housing. Now we're going to reapply the screws. There's 4 of them, 2 on each side. You'll know it's lined up properly if this screw lines up with the threaded piece. It should just drop right in there. Make sure they're nice and tight. Now we're going to put the octagon back into the actual handle barrel. So in order to do that, you want the holes to be lined up with your pin release. So you're going to slide it inside the head part of the barrel. And when you reach the pin release, push down and work it through. You can see I didn't line it up properly there. I got to turn it a little bit. You'll know when the pin release goes into the hole, you have it lined up properly. After that, you can replace the comfort grip. And we'll set this aside because we're going to replace the bushings on the head before we put the handle back together. On the head and the box mount, there's 2 set screws. Use a 5/64 Allen key to loosen those off. I would loosen them probably halfway. You don't have to take them all the way out. Once you've done that, you can punch out the pins that they're holding in. Take those pins out. Now pop your bushings. There's 2 large ones and 4 small ones. In order to get to these 2 small ones, you'll have to remove this screw at the end of the aluminum rod. Once you've removed the top screw, there's a set screw inside that you need to take out with a 3/32 Allen key. You don't need to take it all the way out, just loosen it off so you can pop this pin out. Then you can get to your last 2 bushings. Push those out. Now we're ready to reapply the new bushings and get our handle back together. Take the 2 small ones and put them with the lip facing inside the hole, so they stop in there. That lip will hold it from going right through. Once you have the bushings in place, you want to take the fork, line the holes up with the holes in the aluminum rod there, and put your pin back in. Now you want the fork to be facing into the aluminum rod here. So you want it to have the bend and kind of be sitting like that on the rod, not the opposite way. Put your Allen key back in, tighten down on the rod that holds the fork, make sure it's tight. Now keep it on this side of the aluminum rod when you put this back in. You don't want to have it like that, you want to have it like this. Tighten your screw back down. Then the nut that holds it in place there. Next, you take the 2 other small bushings, put them on the outside of the big arm of the fork. Slide the fork inside of the head, just like so. So you want to be not this way, but the way it can rotate, and then inside. Take your large bushings, put them on either side of the head in the holes there. You want the tab on the outside there like that. Take your smaller pin. It has a notch on it like that. That's for the set screw to drop into. So put your smaller pin in notch first on the non-set screw side. Through the fork. Might have to tap it. And then through till it's on the other side where the set screw lines up. Tighten down the set screw all the way so that the rod is in there secure. Next, you're going to put the rod through that goes into the head. I lost my bushings there. Same way, you want the slot that the set screw goes into to go in first. Put it through the holes on the head, in until it reaches the set screw there, and tighten it down. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now you've replaced all your head bushings. Now we're going to complete putting the handle back together. Inside the handle, there's the hole that the aluminum rod that the head's on goes into. I'm going to put it inside, slide it all the way down, and line up the holes on the head there so I can put it back in. Take your 4 head screws, put them in loosely. Once you have them all in, tighten them down. Now we'll put the brake lever back on. So you take your brake lever mount, slide it back on so the holes line up. You don't want to put it on the wrong way, you want to do it so the holes can line up. Take the other part of the mount, once again line it up with the other holes. Take your Allen key screws, lightly put that one in place. Put the second one in place. Screw them in. Tighten them down. Then using the 1/4-inch driver, take your thread adjuster that's in between the handle grip and put it onto the stainless steel rod that's on the handle. Tighten it down. You don't have to tighten it down all the way, about 10 or 12 turns. Then slide the brake handle over top of the mount again, and we're going to put that pin through that bushing. I'm going to use a metal plate here so I can hammer it down. Line it up the best you can. Hammer it through. Your handle's back together again. You are going to want to adjust your tension to a certain desired level. But what I like to do, because the brake needs to get worked in a little bit so it doesn't stick on you, is I tighten it down pretty tight. I go down till this is quite far out. And I see how it sticks. I crank down on it a few times so it doesn't stick anymore. And that works it in. Then you can loosen it to the desired height that you like the brake at, and it won't stick on you. You're good to go. Thank you for watching this Columbia maintenance video. For more videos like this on other tools, please visit columbiatools.com.